Hello, Cricuters, and welcome to Cricketing with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. In today's News You Can Use, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 of the questions and answers that I get asked the most as a Cricut crafter. Now, I want you to stick around because there are also 2 additional bonus questions and answers that I'll share with you that I want you to have that will help you along your Cricut crafting journey. Now, before we do that, you know what I need you to do. Go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. So I'm glad you're on this journey with me. Let's get started. Question number 1. Which Cricut machine should I buy? Cricut Maker or Cricut Explore Air 2? The 2 machines I have in front of me are the Cricut Explore Air 2 and the Cricut Maker. This is the original Cricut Maker, not the Cricut Maker 3. So all of the comparison that I'm going to do right now is only in reference to the Cricut Maker and the Cricut Explore Air 2. So what makes them the same? They are both amazing cutting machines. We can all agree on that. They offer or allow the same cutting size, which is 12 by 24, okay? What also makes them the same, they use the same software, which is Cricut Design Space. They both will allow the fine point blade, which is the blade that looks like this, okay? They also both will allow the deep point blade, which is the blade that looks like this. And they both will accept Cricut pens, which are the pens. This is an example. This is a pen that comes with each of those machines. Both of them will allow scoring. However, the Cricut Explore Air 2 uses a scoring stylus, whereas the Cricut Maker uses a scoring wheel, okay? Now let's talk about some things that make them different. When we're comparing these 2 machines, the Cricut Explore Air 2 and the Cricut Maker, the obvious difference, of course, is price. We know the Cricut Explore Air 2 costs a little bit less than the Cricut Maker. The big difference, though, is cut pressure. The Cricut Explore Air 2 has a maximum cut pressure of 400 grams. The Cricut Maker has 10 times the cut pressure. That's my printer. So the cut pressure for the Cricut Maker is 4,000 grams, okay? So in order to make that a little bit more plain, if you think about it in terms of if I wanted to cut this fruit and I had this butter knife, okay, it would take more, I would need more cut pressure or something more solid or something more sharp, a more effective tool to get through this. So I might need a bigger knife, right, in order to cut through this and not have to like really dig into it. That is an example. This is going to give you more cut pressure than this, okay? Another difference is the adaptive tool system. So with the Cricut Explore Air 2, you have the dial. So in order to change your cut type or the material that you're cutting, you can, change the dial here. The Cricut Maker doesn't have that. The Cricut Maker has what's called an adaptive tool system, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. When I open my Cricut Maker, if I pull this flap up, the bottom automatically opens. On the Cricut Explore Air 2, in order to open it, I have to push this button. Both machines offer space down here at the bottom for, smaller things. This is a space over here to store blades. You have, storage space here. You have storage space here. You also have storage space on your Cricut Maker. So in terms of those 2 things, you have storage space. It's just a little bit different. So when looking at the adaptive tool system, the Cricut Maker has what's called a quick swap housing. And so these are some of the blades that are available with the Cricut Maker, because I can open this up and insert, the tool that I need based on my project. So that's one of the differences between the Cricut Maker and the Cricut Explore Air 2. So the number of blades. So the Cricut Maker also accepts a knife blade and a rotary blade, whereas the Cricut Explore Air 2 uses a scoring tool, and this one doesn't do that. So here's a rotary blade here. I have a scoring wheel here, and I also have my, let's see, This is my engraving tool. So the Cricut Maker is capable of engraving, whereas the Cricut Explore Air 2 does not have that capability. So you see this one doesn't have that adaptive tool system, so I could not, or the quick swap, I couldn't put any of these tools in here. So those are the main differences. So when you're thinking about which machine is right for you or which machine you should purchase, think about how much cut pressure will you need, what materials do you plan to cut, and you'd have to make an informed decision that way. So kind of do your research beyond what I've shared with you here. Let's move on to tip number 2. Question number 2 that I get asked a lot. What is the difference between HTV and iron-on vinyl? And my answer is nothing. Those are the same exact thing. Let me show you what I'm talking about. When I'm looking at different brands of vinyl, this is Paper Studio brand, and if you look at it, it says solid iron-on. Solid iron-on. Cricut brand says everyday iron-on. Caesar, Easy Weed, HTV. All of these are the exact same thing. I could use all 3 of these materials to put vinyl on a t-shirt or a bag or a pencil pouch or any type of fabric that I wanted to put it on. So the difference between iron-on and HTV, which is heat transfer vinyl, is nothing. Okay, let's move on to question number 3. Question number 3, what are the must-have tools in order to get started? What are the things you need in order to get started with your Cricut? Well, one thing that I don't have listed is a compatible device. It is my understanding that a Chromebook is not a compatible device. So you will need a device that is compatible with Cricut Design Space. I personally use a laptop. You could also use a desktop. You can use an iPad. You can use an Android phone. You can use an iPhone. The only device, in my understanding, as of today, January 11, 2022, the only device that is incompatible with Cricut Design Space is a Chromebook. In addition to that, in addition to a compatible device, you will need the basics. Let me show you what some of the basics are. In my opinion, and trust me, I shop a lot, you will need a standard grip mat. One or 2 is best to have 2, but 1 at a minimum. You will need some kind of weeding tool. Cricut makes weeding tools. There's a pen weeding tool. This is my favorite tool. It's my favorite weeding tool. This one is made by Caesar. It's a Caesar Easy Weeder, I think that's what it's called. So you'll need a standard grip mat. You'll need a weeding tool. You will need a pair of scissors. They don't have to be the Cricut brand. They can be the Cricut brand. You will need a ruler. You're gonna need a ruler for every single project. You need something to scrape or burnish. You'll need some kind of scraper or something to burnish with. I always use my Cricut True Control knife. You can use an X-Acto knife, but you're gonna need a knife. And just a regular fine point blade. So if you're just getting started, you haven't made anything at all. If you were making something with cardstock, you would need these tools. If you were making something with heat transfer vinyl, you would need these tools. If you were making something with adhesive vinyl, you would need these tools. So in my personal opinion, the tools that you need to just get started, just with the basics, are the tools that I just listed. Okay, let's move on to number 4. Number 4. What is an SVG and how do I use it? Let me show you. Let's head on over to Cricut Design Space. Question number 4. What is an SVG and how do I use it? An SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics. Okay, and SVG cut files are used mostly for cutting machines. SVG cut files are digital images that are used for cutting machines. The benefit of using them is that you can make them bigger or smaller based on your needs, and the image will maintain its quality. That was a lot of words right there. Let me break that down. The benefit of using an SVG is that you can take an image or a picture and make the picture big or small and it will still look good. Okay, so where it says the image will maintain its quality, it will still look nice. So let me reduce the view on my screen and upload an SVG to show you what I mean. So this is one of the files I recently used, and I put it on a shirt. This is an example of an SVG cut file. Okay, let me reduce the view a little bit more. So if I move this file over, and let's just say I wanted to make this file smaller. See, this is a cut file. It has layers to it. If I made this file smaller, it's still going to look nice. It's not losing any of its quality. So where it says scalable vector graphics, scalable means making it bigger or smaller. So if I made it big, it still maintains the same quality. It still looks really nice. So that's what an SVG is, and that's how you use it for your cutting machine. Okay, let's move on to number 5. Okay, here's your first bonus question. Bonus question number 1. What is print then cut? I get that question asked so many times. Think about that. Print means you are creating something that you will send to the printer, and cut means your Cricut machine will cut it out for you. These stickers are an example of print then cut. I printed them from my regular DeskJet printer, not sublimation. And after they were printed, I put the sheet on top of my green standard grip mat, and I sent it through my machine so that my Cricut would cut it out for me. Because if I had to try to cut these Cricut Cuties out by hand, they would not be Cricut Cuties. Okay, so there's bonus question number 1. Stick around for bonus question number 2. Question number 5. What is the difference between a PNG and a JPEG? Let me show you. I am back in Cricut Design Space. Question number 5. What is the difference between a PNG and a JPEG or a JPG? The difference between the two is one has a background layer and the other one does not. So let me move these over so you can see what I mean. These two are the exact same file. And if I were to turn the background off of my canvas, you can see they're both the same. If I change the color of my canvas, let me change the color to pink so you can see. Okay, this helps you to see it. This is a print then cut file, and this one is a PNG. It does not have a background layer. This is also a print then cut file, but it has a background layer. So the difference between a JPEG and a PNG file is that one has a background layer and the other one does not. Question number 6. Do I have to buy Cricut materials? The answer to that is no. Let me give you some examples. This is a scraper. This is also a scraper. This is heat transfer vinyl or iron-on vinyl. This is also iron-on vinyl. This is a weeding tool. This is also a weeding tool. This is a standard grip mat. This is also a standard grip mat. So in each of these instances, I've shown you the Cricut brand and I've shown you another brand that is not the Cricut brand. And all of these tools do the exact same thing as the Cricut brand. So the answer to question number 6, do you have to buy Cricut materials? No, you do not. I did not know that as a beginner. Okay, let's move on to question number 7. Question number 7, do I have to be a Cricut Access member? The answer to that is no. Cricut Access comes with most machines for a 30-day trial period. So within that trial period, I do suggest taking advantage of what Cricut Access has to offer, looking at some of the images, looking at the font choices that are available for Cricut Access members. But there are other ways to get access to fonts and images and SVG cut files and other tools and resources that you can use while you are crafting. So the answer, do you have to be a Cricut Access member? No. Does it have advantages? Yes. Okay. As with anything, membership has its privileges, but you do not have to be a Cricut Access member. As a Cricut Access member, I'm currently a Cricut Access member. I have access to all of the files that are available within Cricut Design Space. And so it kind of lets you know, as a member, what you have access to. So if I were to filter my search to only look for free files, so if I wanted to just filter out my search and just see what was available for free, I could just click this little tab and it'll show me all of the options for free files that are available. So when you're thinking about that, that is something that you have to decide for yourself. But, as a Cricut Access member, you do have access to certain fonts. Some of them they still come with a fee, but there are a lot of files and font choices that are available for Cricut Access members. So this one is an example of a file or font choice that still comes with a fee, even though I'm currently a Cricut Access member. So that's just something that you'd have to decide for yourself and look at what your options are. If you just recently purchased a Cricut and you're still within that 30-day time frame, I definitely say take a look around and see, if it is beneficial for you at the current time. Question number 8. I don't have a lot of space. How much space do I need for a Cricut? The machine itself doesn't take up a lot of space, but you have to be aware of the space that's needed in front of, behind, and on top of the machine. So behind the machine, you need at least 10 inches of space. You also need space to put your mat inside, to load the mat inside the machine. And then you need space, for the top of the machine because the lid does open. So you'll need, when you're thinking about where will I put a Cricut machine, I just right here, I have just a regular standard storage table that I purchased from Michael's. But you'll need workspace in addition to your space for your machine. Think about space for a printer and space for a heat press also. Those are things to take into consideration. Also, where you will store your materials, your vinyl, your how will you organize your system in order to not just have space for the machine, but everything that goes along with the machine. I purchased a file online. How do I add it to Cricut Design Space? Let me show you. So I am on the Design Bundles website, and if I'm looking at designs that I have purchased or that I've downloaded and I need to add it to Cricut Design Space, this is the process that I would follow. So I'm on their just free design resources page. I'll click download. Let's just say I wanted to use this file, and it asks me, do I want to confirm it? Yes. Also at the bottom of my screen in the bottom left, I have the option to extract it. So I'm going to click extract all, and then I'll click browse, and then I will save this on my desktop. And let me just give this a name. Let me call it let me give it a new folder, and I'm just going to call it messy hair. Okay, so I'll select the folder and also I'll click it there. And when this starts to extract, it will extract to my desktop into the folder that's called messy hair. So I can close this out. Now I can go to Cricut Design Space. I can click upload, and I can go to upload the image. I can click browse, and then I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to go to the one that says messy hair, click in that file, and I can choose the file that I want. So let's just say I want the SVG. So I'll click the one, woman in messy bun, click open. There it is. It is a cut image. I'll click upload. Okay, it's going to go here to my uploads page, and then I'll add it to my canvas. It's going to come in. Okay. And I can scale it up and down, and it doesn't lose any of the quality. So that is the process that I follow when I purchase or download a file and I want to use it in Cricut Design Space. Okay. It's time for another one of those bonus questions. One of the questions I get asked a lot is, do I need a heat press? My short answer is no. My long answer is yes. And let me tell you why. It's okay to get started with an iron until you decide which heat press is right for you. This is something that I definitely strongly suggest you do your research and think about your space consideration, think about the price, think about the size of the heat plate itself. Though this is not a purchase that I suggest that you rush out and buy a heat press right away, because you want to get something that will fit your needs for the long term, not short term. Do you want something that you can move around? Do you want something that you can store away in a certain space? Do you have a dedicated space for a heat press? So my bonus question is, do I need a heat press? Short answer, no. Long answer, yes, because it's going to depend on several factors. The last and final question is, how can I learn to use my Cricut cutting machine? And the short answer is subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already, go ahead and take care of it now. Hit the like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for notifications, because I do upload new content every single week. All right, I suggest you connect with another crafter who might be at the same level as you. Also, you could check with your local Joann's or Michael's to see if they have any Cricut classes for beginners. But I definitely suggest, number one, subscribing to my channel and trying to connect with other Cricut beginners who will go along on the journey with you. So hopefully these 10 questions and answers, along with the bonus questions and answers, were helpful for you, and you've learned something that you didn't know, and you're thinking about things that you need to consider as you go on your Cricut crafting journey. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye.